Hello, I'm Becky Bolter, one of the comms team here at the IET. Now, it's that time of year again where we're going to welcome our brand new incoming president, Dawn Ohlson. Thanks for joining me, Dawn.
Thank you.
Now, Dawn, you're a WISE Excellence Award winner, and it's nearly time for you to step into your role as IET president. How does it feel?
Well, quite a deep breath needs to be taken, I think, knowing that it's only just a few weeks away, and we've just been downstairs watching my name being engraved on the wall. So suddenly it's feeling very real, but I am really excited about it. It's been several years in the pipeline where I've known I'm going to be president. So I've been deputy president now for 2 years, and you do start to get into the pattern of, right, I am going to be president. I'm going to be president. Yes, I am going to be president. So now I really am going to be president. So I'm very much looking forward to it.
And what does becoming president of the IET mean to you professionally and personally?
Well, it's just such an incredible achievement. For me, I never imagined that someone like me would be the president of the IET. So certainly if I sort of transport myself back sort of 20 years, whilst I was already heavily involved in the IET, just seeing that role was very, very much a far distant position. So it's quite mind-blowing actually to be stepping into the very big shoes that have been left by all of my predecessors.
And how do you hope to make an impact during your presidency?
Well, I do think that I have a lot to offer. I'm very heavily involved in governance already for the IET, and obviously there are two parts to the role of president. There's the very visible part that you see, which is, I always say it's sort of president jazz hands. It's sort of the getting out and about and evangelising about engineering and being that public face of the IET. But actually, even more importantly to me is actually that governance aspect. So as chair of the board of trustees, that is where you are fully accountable for the activities of the IET, and that is somewhere where I've got a lot of experience to bring, and not just experience of the IET, but in my professional life as well. That's been very much what I've been focusing on for a number of years.
And what do you see are the biggest opportunities at the IET in the year ahead?
So my focus for the year will be on volunteering. Now, volunteers are absolutely the lifeblood of this organisation. So what we are hoping to achieve this year is to really help our volunteers understand how much they are valued by the IET, as well as helping volunteers to understand how they can get the most out of volunteering. Because we often see volunteering as being very one way. It's like, what can you do for the institution? But this is also, what can volunteering do for you, and how can you really use those experiences to further your own careers and get different experiences that you wouldn't necessarily have in your professional life.
That's great. And I suppose it brings everyone together in that community spirit. So what challenges do you think engineers, and in fact the IET, need to tackle most urgently?
I actually think that it's around the pipeline of engineers, particularly around the education. What is it that we're doing to put kids off engineering? So how can we truly inspire them? Because certainly from my position, again, looking professionally, we have great difficulties recruiting. And so we're not seeing the numbers of students coming through universities. And we do recruit fabulous graduates out of universities, but looking at how technology growth is accelerating, the numbers of engineers needed to support that growth is also needed to expand exponentially. And the education system and our cultural acceptance of the role of engineering needs to change in order for that to be something that we can keep up with.
So how do you see your career experience in defence and security supporting you in your role as president?
So defence and national security are very highly regulated environments. So I've had many years of experience of working at a senior level within various different organisations. So that has given me an insight into the different ways in terms of how a governance system should work, and also having worked on the board of trustees here, I've got that for comparisons.
And You've obviously been a volunteer for many years in your trustee role. What role do volunteers more widely play in the IET's future? And how do you plan to highlight those during the next year?
So volunteers particularly help to get our messages out to the wider engineering community. And we talked about pipeline earlier and inspiring young people when they're still in education. Without our volunteers, that we just couldn't possibly have the reach that we do currently and the reach that we do need to. During my year as president, we have a number of plans of things that we'd like to do to help get that message out to our volunteers as well as how much they are valued, because a lot of it is about the network between the volunteers as well, and they can learn off each other, not just about things related to the IET, but things for themselves. And again, it's about what can we do to help volunteers to understand what they can get out of volunteering. And we would hope that over my year, we will increase the number of volunteers that we have.
So what message would you most like to share with our members and volunteers?
I think the key message is that this is their institution, and this is our institution. So we are one big engineering professional home for them. So I would love to see more people getting involved. So throughout this year, I think that's the key takeaway. Find something that you can get involved in a tiny little way. Even those tiny involvements can make such a difference, both in the impact that you can have externally, but also in your own career. You meet great people and good connections that are then will carry on for years.
If you could inspire just one lasting change in the engineering community, what would it be?
I would love to see the perception of engineering change. I had the opportunity to work in France for many years, and it was very interesting to see in other European countries particularly how differently engineering is perceived. I would love to see the same kind of thing happening here, so that actually people aspired to be engineers in the same way that they do to become doctors and lawyers.
And I know this isn't a question that is very easy to answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What's the proudest moment of your career?
Oh, yeah, that is a really difficult one, because actually working in the environment that I do, actually not everything is something that I can talk about. Although I have to say I am very proud of working in defence and national security, because much as we can't talk about what we do, it's the effect that we have and what we protect. Actually, that is, I'm extremely proud to work in that environment. But I think probably the thing that I can talk about that is most tangible is that once upon a time, when I was a hands-on engineer, I worked on flight management systems for helicopters, and particularly for the CEng helicopter. I worked on the search and rescue patterns for the CEng helicopter, and it's still used now, actually. So I think that's something I'm really proud of, the fact that actually that goes out and that helps save lives. So it's things that make a difference.
What's the one thing that you'd like members and volunteers to know about you?
So I think actually the one thing that I'd like members and volunteers to know is that actually I am a real engineer. It's surprising how many times I get asked that question, despite the fact that I'm the VP of engineering for Ultra Cyber. I still get asked, it's like, what, so have you actually got an engineering background? So I'm just going to, for absolute clarity, I'm a real engineer.
Now, your address is obviously about the hidden impact of volunteering. Can you summarise your President's address in 6 words, or give us a short overview?
So I did a quick count on my fingers. Yeah. How about volunteering gives you kick-ass careers? Can I say that?
You said it. Thank you, Dawn. Thank you, Becky. And if you'd like to hear more from Dawn, please do come down to Savoy Place in London on the 1st of October to our IET President's Address. See you there.